Yeah.
So I think of the way, Virgin came into the airline market and said, this isn't just about getting you from A to B, it's making sure you enjoy the process of getting there.
Yeah.
They're not treated like a dummy because, we're geeks that are building the internet for them. And I'm not saying that anybody in the market is like that, but it's just making it easy. So, my mum and dad get it.
Yeah.
And they don't think they have to get, my cousin who loves computers in to work it out for them.
Well, thank you so much for joining me, Sasha, in our next episode of Be the Drop.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here at Uniti, and we're going to talk all things internet, wireless. I won't use the lingo because I'm already not quite right. So how about we use that as a lead-in? I know you've got 2 items of significance to explain to us.
Yes.
The first one can't be in the room, but we can see a reflection.
Well, now across to that. We have a set of towers around a region that connect into fibre. From that tower, we transmit and beam the internet to the receiver on the customer's roof.
Fantastic. So each customer gets their own receiver. Is that how it works?
Exactly. So I describe it like fibre through the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things pinging around. Yeah. And so then that leads on to your second item of significance. And so, that's the impact of what this super fast internet is actually providing for your customers.
It's always really rewarding to see people posting their experiences about the product on our communities and how we've really helped to change their business or their day-to-day life, because internet is a real enabler these days.
Where did the idea for Uniti come from, and why, why go into internet, which I would assume is a highly competitive marketplace?
One night, Che, the other co-founder, and myself were on a walk, and I was trying to transfer money using a mobile banking platform, and it just would work. And the connection I was roaming on was just, so slow. So we were like, wouldn't it be great if you could find a way to have Wi-Fi everywhere, so you could roam and you could do things on the go really quickly? And we found that there were a number of companies overseas that were delivering broadband wirelessly as a fixed solution to premises. So, coming from that angle, we built up a model and saw that with scale, it was really profitable, so we could put much more investment back into customer service. Now, you mentioned it being a competitive industry. Yes, but there is still a lot of need for the customer in terms of performance and customer service. So there were a couple of things that we identified that the industry could be doing better, and the product that we've come out with delivers that.
Yeah, fantastic. So from that point, and I love that you explain it via story. I'm a passionate storyteller.
Yeah.
So I think that's really great, because obviously it's relatable, and from that first experience, of your own frustration and limitation and not being able to achieve something, you've gone on to build this business. What's the timeline of that journey?
We started researching things across 2012, 2013, put a business plan together, secured our seed investment in 2013. From there, we launched the business in the Adelaide market, and it was start of this year that we launched into Melbourne in earnest. And so now we're in Melbourne and Adelaide, and growing quite rapidly, with the idea to expand next year nationally through the other states.
Wow. So that's a pretty rapid growth.
Yeah. So it's important that we have people on the ground that get the business and can deliver what we need to. It is an infrastructure business, so that is a requirement. Its culture is really important to us as well. So we'll have a number of our key staff in each state, or at least moving between the offices, to make sure we're maintaining that same culture and vision that the head office has as well. That humour and personality sort of creeps into everything we do in terms of systems, the way we speak to each other, and just setting up each space so that it's got a similar feel is important, because I think when you come to work every day, you really want to enjoy the space you're working in and not be in a grey box.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and colour is obviously, it's interesting because you use humour and a bit of fun, and I think your brand colouring really represents that. You've got a lot of vibrancy in that, and just in the background I can hear fun. So it is obviously something that filters through.
Yes.
And is that something you've done very deliberately to filter through to the communications for your customers?
Yeah. So it's really about that brand. And so I think of the way, you know, Virgin came into the airline market and said, this isn't just about getting you from A to B, it's making sure you enjoy the process of getting there.
Yeah.
They're not treated like a dummy because, you know, we're geeks that are building the internet for them, and I'm not saying that anybody in the market is like that, but it's just making it easy so, you know, my mum and dad get it, and they don't think they have to get, you know, my cousin who loves computers in to work it out for them.
Yeah. So you mentioned very early on when you were referencing the Facebook, you mentioned your community. So is that a really important aspect of delivering service, is to build a community?
We found that there are communities out there in such need that they're contacting us. So we've got councils or residential associations that come and say, we've tried everything to get better internet, but nobody's listening. Can you help? And so we've engaged programs where we say to them, yes, we can, but we need to be able to launch sustainably in your area. So we need a certain level of pre-registrations to get a launch underway so that when we go there, our business is solid and we can really deliver to your region. So they actually get underway themselves, and they market to their region and they bring people to the table so that we then go and launch there. So it's really that community spirit.
And that's quite unique to then go, you've got the consumer driving your product before it's even there. What sort of examples have you received of where that's really made an impact?
Yeah, so I can think of a few. There's a lady who has a separated family, and she didn't have any internet of any decent sort, and her son couldn't live with her because of that. So he was basically with his dad full time because he couldn't do his homework, he couldn't do anything he needed to do at school. So she actually rallied her whole street, like went and letterboxed and door knocked because we just needed a certain level of uptake in that area to launch a new cell site to service her area, and she did it. She got all these people together that meant that we could viably launch in that area, and it then meant that her son could come home.
And so are you really using those stories and sharing those stories to, you know, as part of your marketing to help, you know, educate and motivate and inspire other people to come on board?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's important. You always trust another consumer or your friend or your family, somebody who's experienced it and has been through something you can relate to, rather than the company going, yeah, we're great, we're really fast. So it's that trust factor. So we do like to let our customers do the talking for us and share their stories in any of our ads or on online content, so people get to see what we actually do in a practical sense.
Yeah. And is that really important, particularly when you're going into a new market? So when you went from Adelaide to Melbourne, you know, is it the sharing of stories that helps?
It is. And then it's those first few that connect and then share those stories with their networks. So for that, we actually really love to reward our current customers, and we set up a referral program so that, you know, by nature, we have people that refer new business. So we thought, what better, you know, mechanism to attract their networks to join Unity than give them and their referee a benefit for coming on board.
So what platforms are you using to then communicate? Have you got one sort of platform that works over another, or is it a mix?
Most channels, so radio, TV, to generate that brand awareness. Social is that great space where it's interactive, so people get to share. The standard approach is if you see something in multiple places, it brings it to mind when you're ready to make that decision.
Yeah. And so for you and Shay on this business development experience, what's that been like? What skill set have you come from to be able to go, suddenly we've got a business with, however many staff around Australia, how has that journey been?
It's been good. Shay and I are intrinsically curious people. We're builders, we like creating things, and problem solvers. So at the same time, we're not perfect at everything, so it is a journey. And there's some things coming up ahead of us with the national rollout that we're really excited about, that, territory we've not covered yet.
Yeah.
But we're bringing on more people and a bigger team. We've got some really great advisors behind us that can back us in. So that's really exciting.
Yeah. And so is that something that's been really important having? Are they mentors or are they advisors, or sort of a mix of both?
Yeah, a mix of it all, yeah. So people that have been there, done that, they've had fast growth journeys themselves. And I think that's really important to have that support.
And what do you think is the most important thing when you're juggling these different priorities, and as you're trying to roll out and manage the business and manage your internal culture and roll these things out, as a rapid, growth company, what is the most important thing that helps you maintain that?
Having the right people to execute that, making sure we are a connected unit, that we're all in the same mindset. We have a Monday morning huddle with the group. The teams have their catch-ups, and we also try to have regular, be it monthly or quarterly, events that brings everyone together in a social sense, because that's breaking down that barrier of the professional with the more personal, and connecting with people in the team on a different level.
And really building the strength and unity.
So people understand people, because you may work in one team here and here, but you may not have the opportunity to connect with each other personally, and how we do that now is different to how we did it before. So it's a constant, what you're talking about really is a constant evolution. And so people need to be okay with change here.
Yeah, I'd say. We're talking 2 years, and it's a big difference. From moving out from home and then, So,
roller coaster. Strapped in.
Is that one of the key things when you're interviewing people?
Be okay with roller coasters.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
No worries.
In conclusion though, can you share with me your number one, which is your be the drop tip, which is your communication tip?
So I guess my piece of advice that I don't always do perfectly, but I try and keep in mind, is to put yourself in your colleagues, your families, your customers, your suppliers' shoes, so that you see things from their perspective. I think that's important with customers and sales, so that you can understand where they're coming from, so that it's not all about your needs.
So really make it that two-way.
Understand where they're coming from, even in a dispute. Why are they taking that approach? Is there something you can think of that will help you find middle ground?
And I think it's fabulous advice. And you mentioned earlier the importance of trust and building relationships, and really the ability to put yourselves in someone else's shoes is going to greatly help with that. Fantastic.
Thank you.